Good evening and welcome to the February 22nd, 2022 meeting of the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners. We're glad to have everyone in the audience tonight. It's good to have citizens back inside the chambers. If you have a cell phone or other electronic device, if you would please silence that for the remainder of the meeting, we would appreciate it. We will stand for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'd like to ask you to bow with me for just a few minutes. Lord, we just come to you, just thanking you so much that we can refer to you as Abba, Father. And Lord, we just ask for the next while that you be with us here in the midst as we make these decisions that would be benefiting to Meriwether County and they're coming to your name also, Lord. And Father, as always, we just ask that you please forgive us where we've had you. In that name that's above all names. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item will be to adopt the agenda. I know we have one change. If you'll look under new business, we have a couple of proclamations. We're going to move those to right under the public hearing. So those families, you're welcome to stay if you'd like, but if not, you can certainly be free to go. Are there any other changes that need to be made? Hearing none, may I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Have a second? Second. All in favor? Motion carries. On the finance report, Mr. Gregory.
Madam Chair, you have reports in front of you. I'll go through them rather quickly to get on to more important business. First one is the 2020 SPLOST funds analysis, and I'm pleased to report to you that the January amount was $150,000, which is $8,000 more than December. December was the highest month to date for the program, so we're well above our original estimate of monthly disbursements as well as our revised budget. The 12 months of 2021, we averaged in 122.5. Of course, the 1 month in 2022 is the 150. So we're really pleased with that. Encourage the citizens to continue to buy locally within the county. Same good trend. If you look at the T-SPLOST as well, we received $130,000 for the month of January. December's was $122,300. Again, we're trending upward on the T-SPLOST as well, which is very encouraging. Those Dollar General stores within the county are paying off. Yeah. That's great news. Excuse me. On the bank balances, all the funds are in pretty good shape. General funds at 2.8 million. I would mention to you that without any property tax receipts for the first couple of months of this year, that most likely the end of the March meeting, I will be requesting your approval to begin the process of going out for a TAN, just in case, the property tax receipts don't start coming in. That's the last resort. I certainly do not want to do that, even if we put it out for bid, and it doesn't mean we have to use it until we absolutely have to, but I just wanted to bring you up to that. Also, the auditors have finished all of the field work that they were able to do, so they're not in the office any longer.
Everything's completed? The auditor, is that what you said?
That they've finished all the field work that they could while they were here. They will have to come back and work on one of the constitutional officers when those documents are ready. The last thing I have, 5 years ago, Mr. Gaze, and still here at that time, I think so. We entered into two leases with Caterpillar for two motor graders. Those leases will be up in April. And I just wanted to make you aware of that. Bill and I and Theron and Michelle will meet a couple of times before then to make a recommendation. We do have the option to purchase those motor graders for $148,000 apiece. And that may be something you want to seriously think about. I've spoken with a representative a couple of times, and he's telling me and Bill both that new ones are really hard to come by for the lease program, so we may have to do something. But we'll get together and bring a recommendation probably at the evening meeting in March. Unless you have any questions, that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
I have one. When was the last time we received any of property tax payment?
December 30th.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to citizen comment, and I believe you said we did not have anybody signed up, Beverly? Okay. All right, we'll move on to the minutes of the February 9th, 2022, 9 a.m. regular meeting. You've had the opportunity to review these. Are there any changes, corrections that need to be made? Hearing none, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second? Second. All in favor? It carries. During the course of this past year, we've had two of our former commissioners who passed away, and tonight we're very thankful and appreciative of their families being here. We would just like to have read a proclamation tonight in honor and in memory of both of these ladies. And we're going to start with Miss Josie Walls. And if you just want to be seated there, we'll read it and then we'll bring you up and we'll do a picture and give you the proclamation. Is that okay? All right. Whereas Josie S. Walls departed from life on April 6, 2021, and will be fondly remembered for her impact on the Meriwether County community and for her servant's heart. And whereas Josie S. Walls is survived by her three loving children, Brenda, Wynette Roberts, William Jenkins, Reverend Lonnie B. Walls Jr., Shantae, and Bertha Jolene Walls Render, Darrell, grandchildren, Jennifer Yvonne Cobb, Derek, Jessica Jenkins Fay, Richard, Jacinta Danielle Render, Jasmine Renee Walls, Joshua Denzel Walls, and Darrell Joseph Render, and great-grandchild William Ryan Fay. And whereas Josie S. Walls grew up in Screven County and later moved to Meriwether County, where she raised her family, worked as a teacher, served as a county commissioner, and was active in many civic organizations and in her church. And whereas Josie S. Walls taught in the Georgia public school system from 1949 to 1987. During her teaching career, she taught in Emmanuel County, Twiggs County, and Meriwether County. Her first teaching job in Meriwether County was from the fall of 1953 until the spring of 1960. During a portion of that time, she taught in a little schoolhouse that was located on the property of Mount Venus Missionary Baptist Church. Ms. Walls completed her teaching career in Meriwether County at Woodbury High School. While at Woodbury High School, Ms. Walls taught American history, American government, English, and economics. She acted as a de facto assistant principal and served as senior class advisor, yearbook advisor, junior class sponsor, and cheerleading coach. Mrs. Walls was consistently recognized by her colleagues and students for her leadership and skills as a valued teacher and was named Teacher of the Year several years at Woodbury High School and was once named Meriwether County Teacher of the Year. And whereas Josie S. Walls was elected to serve the citizens of Meriwether County in 1990 as a county commissioner and was the first African-American woman to hold an elected office in Meriwether County. Ms. Walls served 2 terms as commissioner. During that time, Ms. Walls held the office of vice chairman. Through her leadership while serving as a county commissioner, Mrs. Walls worked to establish the E911 service, curbside trash pickup, expand the county jail, construct a new facility for the Department of Family and Children's Services and the Meriwether County Health Department, and paved 100 to 150 miles of dirt roads. And now it be proclaimed by the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners that Josie S. Walls be remembered by the Meriwether County community for her outstanding service and dedication, and that she be honored and remembered for her selfless heart and giving spirit. Be it further proclaimed that the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners extend their deepest condolences to the family and friends of Josie S. Walls, and that they know that the impact she made on Meriwether County. May God bless you and your family. If y'all like to come out of here, we'll stand just one whole picture. Just turn your face this way. We'll see if we can get everybody in here. All right, next we're going to recognize Nancy Striblin Jones family. And again, we're glad to have all of you with us. Whereas Nancy Striblin Jones, who unselfishly dedicated many years of service to Meriwether County with great distinction and success, passed away on December the 13th, 2021. And whereas Nancy Striblin Jones is survived by Gary Jones, her husband of 54 years, and her loving children, Jennifer Lori Jones and Jefflyn Jones Brannon, and her grandchildren, Lanny Overton and Emma and Ellie Brannon. And whereas Nancy Striblin Jones retired from the Georgia Department of Transportation and worked as a business manager for Jones General Contracting. During her tenure with GDOT, Ms. Jones worked in the local government division of the GDOT District 3 office, serving 31 counties across west central Georgia. Using her talent in business operations, outgoing personality, and desire to help others, Ms. Jones was a valuable asset to county and city governments across west central Georgia in helping them utilize valuable state programs, equipment, and funding that may have otherwise been unavailable. It was during this time that she developed a lifelong friendship and contacts across the state of Georgia, which would prove to be valuable in her future endeavors. And whereas Nancy Striblin Jones was elected to 2 four-year terms as a Meriwether County Commissioner representing District 3. During that time, board members elected her to serve as chairperson for 7 years. While at Meriwether County, Ms. Jones served on the Meriwether County Industrial Development Authority, the Joint Development Authority of Meriwether County and the City of Hogansville, the Three Rivers Regional Development Council, and was active with the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia. Ms. Jones played an instrumental role in bringing new industry to Meriwether County, which in turn brought many jobs to the area and enhanced the local tax base. And whereas Nancy Striblin Jones was a resolute servant and longtime resident of Meriwether County, she was also a member of Jones Chapel Church and was passionate about her community. And now be it proclaimed by the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners that Nancy Striblin Jones be remembered by the Meriwether County community for her outstanding service and contributions. And be it further proclaimed that the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners does hereby extend our sincerest condolences and expression of appreciation to the family of Nancy Striblin Jones for her loyal and dedicated service to all of Meriwether County. May God bless you and your family.
Thank y'all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you. Y'all have a
you.
good evening. Oh, I know. I could hear it. I know. All right. We're going to move on to the appointments. Our first item is the CAFI Board appointment, which will be a term to expire 1/10/2022. This will be representing the Board of Commissioners. Does anyone have a nominee for that?
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Nika Carter Young,
Okay.
and I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, Nika Carter Young will be, thank you. The next is the Water and Sewage District 5 to fill an unexpired term. That is my district. I do not have anyone still, so I'll have to ask for that to be tabled, and I'll make that in the form of a motion. All in favor? All right, we're gonna move on to unfinished business. We have a report, I believe, from the Airport Authority and consultants to discuss the T-hangars at Roosevelt Memorial Airport.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Mike Watson here from the Airport Authority, and with me tonight, we've got two of our board members, AJ Atkinson and Paul Farman, and we also have Phil and Whitney, Kimberly from Redistricting, our engineering consultant. Seems like every time we do come to see the county commissioners, we have good news,
Well, that's good.
and so I'm sure y'all like to see us go up. Tonight's no exception, we do have good news. We have been discussing for some time about doing more T-hangers and some larger box hangers. And so we've gotten more organized as our authority has gotten used to working with each other and whatnot. And so AJ Atchison has been in charge of getting this rolling, getting the ball rolling for our expansion. And so he's got good news that I'll let him tell you about, and then after he's finished, he will introduce Phil, and they have a little PowerPoint to show you where we are and where we're going, and some other good news that we received today from the FAA.
Thank you.
AJ.
I was given the responsibility by the board to market the new T-hangar project to surrounding areas, the aircraft owners. We wanted some kind of assurance that there was interest before we invested this money. We thought it would be a wise thing to do. I'm happy to report I've got 10 aircraft owners that have placed deposits, a good faith deposit based on completion of the contract, to sign the contract to park an airplane in there. And I've also got deposits on the 3 box hangars with the same intent to sign a lease. At the completion of the project, we should have additional 10 airplanes parked in those 10 T-hangars. And the 3 box hangars will hold up to 4 light aircraft like the T-hangar has, or a couple light twin engine airplanes, or maybe even a corporate jet. So those are all committed to as soon as we get them built. Just in the last 2 days, I have received calls with an interest in ground leases for people to build their own hangar and lease the property from the county or from the airport authority. That's a new step for us, and we're still kind of new at that. That's really exciting news, because that means that people that own large airplanes, corporate airplanes, light jets or maybe light twin are showing an interest to coming here. So that's on the horizon. We hope that happens in the next year or so. We may be back building hangars again. So we'll ask Phil to bring us up to date on where we are and all that kind of stuff. And Whitney's here supporting him.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great to see you all again. Like Mike said, it's always good news that we bring to you. So happy to do it again tonight. Phil Eberly, Lead Edge Design Group. We've worked for you for a long, long time. Matter of fact, we're just thinking about Nancy when we did the runway extension. Nancy was in office then. So what we're going to talk tonight is what's going on at the airport, and specifically the hangars and some action on that. One of the things we'll say is lots of airports have waiting lists for hangars. It's easy to have a waiting list. The rubber hits the road when people put down deposits and you're ready to go and they're committed. So for the airport authority, for AJ on that task, and the airport authority as a whole, we work with folks all over the state. And we're not proud of any place we work in here and what's happening, what's going on. We'll talk about that in a bit. Meriwether County Airport, moving up. We come and talk, it's probably once a year, something we'll come and give an update. And each time we do that, we talk about what's going on, what we're gonna be doing, and then what's kind of in the future. And so you've heard a lot about the hangars. I think probably we spoke 6 or 7 times from several years ago. Hey, this is on the horizon, well, we're accomplishing everything, and now we've arrived at this point. So you're growing in a very healthy way, very methodical and very planned and very disciplined. This May will be the 90th anniversary of the airport opening. And we have the video. If you remember last time we brought this, we found this snippet finally. This is the opening of the airport, May of 1932. Oops, let's go back here and see if we can catch that. There you go. It was in black and white, we'll just tell you that.
I remember that.
So, right, you remember that? Yeah, it was very scary. It was Mike and I, as a teenagers, flying out there. The mural, if you remember, that's up as a great branding device. Things we're doing at the airport related to not only this hangar construction, but new entrance road and future terminal building we'll talk about, and all that makes that area with the jail gone, flat open area to the side of the new road that will come in, so it can be used for events out there. We'll talk about that some more. So not only is the airport growing, but the ability to use it as a county, an energy center for county and events is a big deal. Runway's 5,000 feet. The existing 10-unit T hangar we have is full. That's paid off. The large story hangar is full. We've done a bunch of safety improvements. There's $1 million safety improvement project, if you remember that. Put us in good position. We crack sealed and marked the apron. We also crack sealed and marked the runway. We got a new LED windsock replacement, so that is the height of the FAA criteria on the windsock. We repainted the beacon to the FAA standard, so you're knocking out big projects and methodical small projects to put yourself in a great position. For those who've recovered have dried out from the ribbon cutting for the fuel farm, if you remember that, we said last time the initial report on the fuel was 1,100% increase in fuel. That continues to go. Paul was just saying there's $3,000 worth of fuel sold in the last week. Whitney and I were out there and met some folks at the airport just before the meeting. Somebody came in and bought fuel. So I mean, you got great branding and great reputation going. As a quick reminder, when we talk about these aircraft, the price of aircraft varies wildly by how much time is on the engine, things like that. But maybe in a general way to look at it, small piston engine aircraft bring you about $500 to $2,000 a year in ad valorem. Twins are maybe $2,000 to $4,000. Brand new twins, brand new single engine, much more than that. But that's kind of a shot. As we put in place some larger hangars like those boxes, you could put jets in there if somebody wanted to come and lease and put that in there. So you're starting to incubate some sizes of hangars at the airport that begin to let people live their whole aviation life at the airport, from recreational through business. That's $15,000 to $150,000 a year for small to medium-sized jets, business jets. Upcoming projects, you already have under contract and it's being installed. It takes about a year. It's a state contract for a AWOS, Automated Weather Observation System. And what that does is it sends out a signal and a frequency that the pilots can pick up, gives ceiling information, visibility, wind direction, temperature, altimeter setting, a lot of high-end safety information for the airport. It also allows, as an example, Richard, who does maintenance on the field, if you remember the comment about like Auburn doing flight training. With an AWOS in, they can come here as one of their stops doing flight training. So it begins to just enhance and add to the airport experience. So we get to the hangar part. What we've talked about before is when we got to this next stage to add hangars is we would add a 10-unit T hangar that matches what's out there. And if it's 3 box hangars, they're about not quite 60 by 60. It's under one roof in compartments. Those are big hangars, big stuff can go in. Like I said earlier, there's a difference between having a waiting list or saying people have expressed interest. That's a good one, expressed interest. Can't take that to the bank. You have done the lifting and done the hard work to put in place. Everybody, there's deposit checks that AJ talked about for the 10 Ts and for the boxes. And you actually have a couple beyond that, and some other people are interested. So you're already beginning to build the waiting list for the hangars beyond these. On the graphic, if you remember that, and there's I think a board over there, but on that graphic to the right-hand side of the buildings you see in there, there's 2 blue hangars. Those are the 2 existing hangars. So what we're talking about that will be built is the 2 yellow hangars in between. One's a 10-unit T hangar, and one's the 3 large boxes under one roof. Okay? You have capacity in this little snapshot. Beyond this, if you look to the left of the blue hangars, you see the red hangar. That's a space where the new terminal would go. And then beyond that, there's spaces for even larger hangars if somebody wanted to come out and do 100 by 100 or something larger. You have a space to lease land and do that. So if somebody's interested, you can provide that for them right now. I know that AJ has talked to some folks like that, and we've gotten some calls about some people. And basically, you have the ability to pull the trigger on that at any time they're ready to go. So you're positioning, there's credibility that comes with building hangars and all the other things you're doing. Very positive. It will be on your terms at the FAA required charges and all that, meeting all the FAA criteria. But you control everything on the airport. You own all the hangars. You're in a fantastic position through hard work and dedication of the authority and the commissioners. What this does for us, you have the 103 airports in Georgia, we're 65th in based aircraft. We have 16 based aircraft right now. That's really good, right? So I'll say this, of a population rank, we're 86th. If you think of it that, we're 86th. So being 65th in based aircraft, pretty good. After the addition of these, the 10 units and then the boxes, there's a variety of sizes of aircraft and numbers that can go in there. Even if we just did 2 aircraft per box, so we're adding 16 based aircraft and doubling to 32, that shoots us up into the 30s. So if you took everybody's based aircraft today, we'd be 39th at 32 based aircraft. When you look who's around us, there's like Dalton, Covington. Those are like 23rd and 25th in population size of the counties, over 100,000. So we always say this, punching above your weight. You also control all the things on the airport in a very methodical way. So for people who want to come and be at the airport, invest in the airport, you've set a tone that they're protected and taken care of, and the facility is going to be nice and welcoming, but follow all the rules. It's a great culture to have out there. Again, that comes from hard work from the authority and from the commissioners. The project cost, it's metal, it's steel, it's a lot, they're big. So it's about 1.7 million for the project with the paving, the 2 hangars. 100% of the debt service will come from the income from these hangars plus the existing T that's paid off. So there's additional ad valorem that comes out of the planes in there to the county in the most conservative fashion with only one plane in each of those boxes. You may be just under 20 grand. You know, if somebody plugs something significant in one of the boxes that can shoot significantly north of that, double or triple. And again, the jump from 65th to 39th, the next one, There are a lot of airports with base aircraft right above that number. So next time we add a hangar, we'll be up into the, into the 20s. So that's fantastic. So tonight, well, I'll talk about this thing that happened today. We want to, we've talked about before, the airport being used as an event center and to attract fly-ins and things like that. So with the jail gone, with the road being centered on the new terminal area, it gives us nice, green, level grass to each side. So you can do, obviously, fly-ins for airport events, but you can have other things out there. There's a car show that comes with that fall fly-in. You can do car shows, you can do barbecues, chili cook-offs, you can have summer movies out there. You show Top Gun on a projector on a side of the terminal or something. So there's just a lot of ways that that facility can be used. The terminal building in the entrance road, the intent with that would be likely come in like a year or two down the road, depending on funding. We were going to look at One Georgia for the terminal funding because we think we could leverage that and score high. FAA has not announced and literally came out today with the application from the bipartisan infrastructure law, which will give us an extra $159,000 to put toward airport projects. That's its own thing. Separately, they have a terminal program, a $5 billion terminal program, $1 billion a year over 5 years. Our estimated cost on the building is way under $1 billion, so should be fine with that. So don't be alarmed, but it's probably a 90-10 match, and that's better than the One Georgia would have been. So we'll sent that to when that came out to Theron and Mike, and we'll start driving that. But if we can get something at 10 cents on the dollar for that, we may end up, with that stuff accelerated and maybe even be working on by the end of the year. But that's all things that we'll bring back. But that is some great news for us. So as we lead into May and the 90th anniversary, we had a discussion Friday with Carolyn, start looking at schedule, and then potentially for this, if with approval, we would maybe look at trying to do a groundbreaking in May or something like that on the anniversary, 90th anniversary of the airport. So very historical and very cool. Like we said, the ability to utilize the facility as a focal point for community energy and events. Having an airport's fantastic. Having an airport that you can use like that is really unique in the state and even the country. So it's real cool. A lot of opportunities for that moving forward. Basically, we're moving, it's positive stuff. And the people that want to be here, and then those people come and be in those hangars, and they're spending money in the county and bring another economic ripple effect. And the airport's going to be an event center moving forward. A lot of things you can do with it and use it in creative ways. You can have career days out there. You can have, whatever, seniors in high school, you can have events out there for them. Do other things that enhance the facility for the county. And basically then for tonight is the action that we're looking for tonight is the county commissioners to approve supporting the airport authority funding the hangars and building. Rent, fuel, extra fuel sales. And there's actually secretly off the back of the last slide there's a little breakout that shows kind of how that comes. So it's at the very bottom is it's the 1.7. It shows 3% on there, but it's a payoff by year, depending on how many years you wanted to go. If you look at the income that comes off of the rental and the fuel sales, not counting the ad valorem, because the rent will not stay stagnant, it will, not every year, but it will increase over time. So you see it's probably, you're a little north of 15-year payoff. By the time you get halfway through and rents have increased, you probably bring it back down. So it would be around 15 years. Yeah, and so those are very conservative. If you look at the fuel sales per gallon based on the hangar units, it's all very conservative stuff to make sure that it works out.
One other thing, just FYI for the board, you're working on the historic house there to be built.
And I talked to the surveyor today, he's bringing by the survey tomorrow, a 2-acre tract. So these guys be able to move forward with that.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I should have that sometime.
It's terrific.
All right, so what you need from us is a motion to allow y'all to proceed with the hangers.
Basically, yeah, the authority,
Financing of the hangers.
the authority wants to do nothing without, even though they can run the numbers and all that, and they're getting loaned, they want to make sure that they have the approval of the commissioners in order to move forward with it.
Well, I mean, we've done several projects with you, and every one of them has been easy to do. I mean, absolutely done. Y'all held up your end of the bargain. Exactly what you said was gonna happen.
That's
happened.
right. My hair was brown, so there's some stuff we don't tell you about. But no, it's a fantastic, but you've laid a baseline in not creating, for most airports, you have some lease from 1972 that's a nightmare, or you have something out there that's a problem that's left over from some poor decision before. The discipline on a decision, very consistent from the commissioners, from the airport authority, to methodically do this the right way. And we're very, I'll say, is through a pain, maybe, we're very proactive in the meetings to say what FAA allows and not allows and all that. So you're in a great position. It'll be a very positive project for sure.
Anyone have any additional questions?
May I say one other thing real quick is, in the FAA funding criteria, you have to have at least 10 based aircraft to be eligible for FAA funding. And right now, we get FAA funding for large projects in chunks when we have those projects come up, but we get $150,000 a year from FAA for regular infrastructure. This bipartisan infrastructure law will add another 159 to that. If we drop under 10 based aircraft, we lose all of it. At 15 based aircraft, we're in another tier. That's where the 159 actually comes from. The next tier after that is 100. So one of the things this does is it puts us at a based aircraft level that is away from the danger of losing that FAA funding, just because, we have a couple people that lose their medical in 1 month, and we could drop under that. So this puts us with a based aircraft that's safely above that, and we secure our future as far as FAA funding.
Any questions? Do we have a motion based on the information? Do we have a recommendation, Michelle or Darren?
My recommendation would be certainly to recommend approval.
Approval for the financing, right?
We know where you're at.
That's right, yeah, exactly. I don't want to go bald, I just keep the gray hair, so, yes.
All right, we have a motion to proceed with the financing for the hangars for the airport. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Roseland second.
Roseland.
Thank you very much.
And the gentleman I spoke to you about
Yes.
wants to come and talk to you and the board
Perfect.
for investing.
That's perfect. So there is a lot of that brewing, and I'll say it's really important. The airport authority does this, is really respectful of the commissioner's time. By the time something gets vetted out and is brought to you like this, the deposits are in hand, a lot of that lifting's done so that they maintain their credibility and respect of the board. So great job, everybody. We're thrilled with
I've
what
said
you've
this
done.
before, and I'll say it again. It's another hidden jewel in Meriwether County. The average citizen has no idea what all goes on at that airport. And for them to be self-sustaining, it's not something that we have to keep pulling out of the hole, or to try to finance or whatever. It is, y'all do a good job with it. And like I said, the average citizen just really has no idea what all goes on out there.
Y'all usually bring us a check.
All volunteer. Well, yeah. The last time was, here's a check for, so that's great. Intend to continue to do that. So thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you. All right, next under unfinished business is the request from GDOT for county participation in local bridge replacement project, CR 246, CR 412, Flat Shoals Road at Flint River.
This has been a project that's been in the works for a while, and we'd agreed at some time in the past to support the replacement of the bridge, because certainly it needs to be replaced. GDOT is classified as a Tier 3 project. In the past, they would have the local governments cover the right-of-way cost, et cetera. But they've changed the methodology. Now they stage it in a tier 3 project. It's a project they deem as more complex, and I can certainly understand that it's crossing the Flint River, so it's an important project. So what they have asked is for the county to make a contribution to the program and to the bridge replacement in the amount of $100,000. This would be all that the county would have to put in. We wouldn't have to come back and adjust any more dollars for right-of-way, et cetera. Now, they need us to decide by the end of the month, February 28th, we're going to do that. And then, of course, the dollars will become due. It will go to them, and they'll have it there as a commitment from the county. They are planning PE engineering in FY 2021. It's already happened. Right away in 2025, and then they plan on construction in 2026, which could be, actually the latter half of 2025. And I understand it's a lot of money. If, hopefully that we can get them to participate with us in some other stuff, if we show that willingness to participate, and maybe we can get those dollars back in terms of other things. But it also is something that's, very important. That bridge is important. And if we don't move forward and get the commitment, it'll probably just push it down the line in terms of replacement. And we don't want it to get to,
Didn't they want more than that to begin with?
I think they did, because they were talking about all the right of way and everything. And, we could do that. We could do that. Oh, did it? Yeah. But we would recommend, and we can pay for this, I think, out of T-Splosh or Splosh because it's road improvements. So.
Okay.
I think they're going to need construction easement, additional right of way. But in the past, they said, well, the local government's got to be responsible. So whatever area they needed is what we would end up having to pay for. You never really knew till you went in. But with this, they're just saying, hey, this is a better way for us to do it. We haven't yet determined exactly what the right of way cost to be. I can imagine them needing construction easements, but I don't think they should need a lot of right of way. I think the roads come in at a pretty good angle there. Don't want it to encroach down onto some of the things that we've got going there, potentially going there. So I think you'll see it pretty close to where it currently is in terms of right of way. They don't want to buy any more than they absolutely have to. This would cap our contribution with them, so we wouldn't have to worry about them coming back and saying.
I guess what my thought was, they may have to widen those pilings and do a few other things.
But they may have to, yes, sir, they may have to.
All right down there.
And they have to know about the
28, yes.
We're gonna need to make a decision tonight, and Commissioner McCoy, I guess this is your district.
It's my district.
So what are your
It
thoughts?
sounds like to me, since we are so deemed a tier 3 and $100,000 is probably not going to be that bad if we had to go out and do all this stuff ourselves. You never know what extra costs you're gonna run into. So as far as my part, I would make a motion, we move forward.
Okay, we have a second? Second. And allow the chair to
And
sign.
allow the chair to sign. Yeah.
I'll make a second, but where is the money coming from?
T-Splosh.
Yeah, right, so T-Splosh, so
T-Splosh.
identify
can you-
out of T-Splosh. Make the motion.
T-Splosh is where we are identifying it.
That'll actually help us with T-Splosh. We have to spend a certain amount of it on the regional projects.
Yeah.
So that would be certainly a regional project.
I'll make the second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor? All right, that carries. Thank
Do
you.
it already?
Thank y'all.
I did already, but that's okay.
All right, next we have report on the fire department construction and funding. Is that? Karen, that's- You're up there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sitting here just looking at the
the
time, when I
fire
go back to my
department.
agenda. Okay, fire department is first. Okay, let me talk about the fire department. Okay. All right. Okay.
Want one of my Adderall?
I may need one. I may need one. Of course, our original program on the fire department was to be able to build 8 new fire stations. And I think Commissioner Hines is not with us tonight, but I think she'd asked about this earlier. We'd committed back on our original proposals to do 8 new fire stations and then remodel a station at Alvaton. And then we were gonna, hopefully, if there was additional funds somewhere down the line, we'd be able to do some satellite stations and cover some of those areas. Well, to date, and this is what I wanted to bring you guys up, but we've done 6 new stations that have been completed. We got 1 Greenville that's under construction, and yes, the red wall will be removed. And we also have programmed another new station in the Primrose area and a remodeling at Alvaton. Our original bond was for $3.5 million, and that cost projection was really based on some 2015 numbers. And we all know what has happened since then with prices of materials, et cetera. We also kept the fire district rate at 3 mills, but we have never levied more. You guys have never levied more than 2.5, so there's still dollars there that's available if need be. And since of course, the development of the original program, the construction cost and everything have just gone through the roof, and it's not only impacted our local numbers here, but also every kind of construction, every construction company across the country is facing the same thing. And when we projected this, we didn't want to overstate it, because if you state too much, you're probably not going to get support of the voters. And so we did try to overstate it. And in doing so, of course, our goal now is still to build that 8th station and to remodel Alvaton Station. But we are going to have to consider some other funding sources other than just the bonds, because the bonds have been utilized. And we do have some availability of some funds, the ARP funds is a possibility. We have a $500,000 delta in the millage rate. If we wanted to do that, we would prefer not to do that. But we do still plan on dealing with the 8th station and the remodel of the Alvaton. In fact, we're going to work on that remodel of Alvaton here very soon with the engineers. As far as the station timeline went, I know there's been a lot of discussion of why this station first, why that station first. The construction schedule was really based a lot upon obtaining property for the new station. I know some of you helped tremendously in acquiring property in certain areas, and we appreciate that. The obtaining property up at the Primrose Station has been particularly difficult. We were originally told or given instruction that it had to be located north of Primrose, and it had to be west of Roosevelt. What that did was put it into an overlap where you had triple coverage in some of the areas up at the top where the cursor is there. And of course, you had some gaps down as you moved east and west from there. So that really wasn't an ideal location. And interestingly enough, when I look back on our presentation materials, it showed that station Primrose, not at the current location, but actually down the road a little bit off the Roosevelt Highway. So I think that was taken into account to cover as much area as we can. But anyway, we've had trouble getting the property there. We had 1 piece of property the person was willing to, well, 2 actually we looked at. One was a drop of about 40 feet down into a hole, and we didn't want to be able to have to deal with that. And the other, of course, they wanted it, but they wanted about 4 or 5 times what it was worth in terms of marketability. So we have passed on that. Now, what we need to do first is to complete that station, we need to locate some property. That's the first thing we need to do. We probably need to try to get it off of Roosevelt to avoid having to spend the tremendous amount of money we would have to spend on road improvements for ACL, decel lanes, and turn lanes. So we're still looking at that, and I would recommend that the district commissioner, if any of you guys know of any property, certainly help us with this. So I have talked to everybody that I know and people that I don't know up and down the road in that area. Nobody really wants to give up property to get located there. So, our obstacle at this point is locating that. And then, of course, once we've got the property, we know where it's going to be, we'll come back and look at the various funding options and try to move forward with the project. So I wanted to, just bring y'all up to date on that tonight, and that will, once we do that, and once we do the remodel at Alvaton, that will complete our initial promise to the citizens, which we're going to fulfill, and we'll then look to where we need to go next in terms of fire department. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
How much do you think will be left over after the Greenville? So
That's what I was about to ask.
I really think most of our bond will be exhausted at that point.
So what kind of money we're talking about?
Talking about a little under $1 million probably.
'cause I'm not for using the ARP. I'm not to build another one. That's like free money we need to give other services to the citizens.
Well, there's some other options. I mean, we could look at.
We need to figure it out.
Yeah, we could look at the fire district and some other stuff. So whatever we need to do, but we'll go ahead and try to obtain that. And the only reason it was the last station is we talked to a gazillion people about acquired
And
property and it
property,
just
yeah.
hadn't been available. And
So I guess it'll be something y'all continue to work on to try to find the property, and then we
Right.
discuss financing and that kind of thing once
Absolutely.
we get closer.
absolutely.
Theron, you touched on something, and I think we probably need to flesh it out a little more. There are areas out there, and you used the word satellite. Even with the way we place these stations,
Right.
there are still areas that are getting no coverage.
Right, not getting that.
A wide swath that runs right down Rocky Mount Road that I'm familiar with,
Right.
that the citizens there are not getting any benefit or any reduction in anything else because we simply don't have coverage.
You can see there's a gap here and a gap over here where you're speaking of.
Right.
And what we had hoped to be able to do is to maybe locate a satellite in St. Mark's and maybe one in Rocky Mount or somewhere in that area to cover those.
Satellite.
Small gap right here, but I think with mutual aid, we probably can help deal with that. But, yeah, we just need.
That map looks better than the last one I saw.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, there was
Well,
a.
obviously, you see a bigger gap up there when you're looking at that map.
And see, if we move this down, this is where the current location is. If we move this down to somewhere along here, that's gonna go away.
We'll close that up.
Close that gap at all.
You're gonna move over this way a little bit too, I think.
Right, yeah. And I think, because you're at your small width here, if you move it down a little bit, you'll widen to get to your widest points right here. Hopefully, we can close as much of that as we can. Now, this is as the crow flies distances.
Right.
Which is different from the 5 road miles, but it gives you a pretty good summary of what it would look like. So,
And looking at the property and all, I'm just curious, if we come south, do we need to come as far south as Todd or?
I think at one time, we may have needed to come as far south as that, but I think with us relocating the Greenville station from there over to here, kind of gives us, it's not that much distance, but it gives us a little bit of difference to be able to play with in terms of where it is. So I don't want us to would recommend we get too far south, but I think we could go south a little bit and take care of it.
I'm just trying to think about the roads. Primrose Road, your next road down is Todd. If you're going to look at
That would-
locating off of Roosevelt Highway, you need something on the corner lot, right?
Or go across the road right there, go a little bit east, and that will close up some of that
You're
gap.
talking about Coleman Creek?
Yes,
Oh,
that
okay.
area.
That could work too. What I'll do is, we'll go in and I'll get with Skip and Fire Chief and Michelle. We'll look at the optimal area, where our search area needs to be, to do the most coverage, and then we can bring it back. I do think we need to try to avoid coming out of Roosevelt, because you could end up with $500,000 improvement there.
Moving
Just
dirt.
turn lanes, and I mean, that's gonna end up, half the cost of the fire station or a third the cost of it. So that's really our next step, is to identify the area, identify some property, and see what we can do to get that taken care of.
We need to start selling Krispy Kreme.
And I think the next one goes along with this. It was the financial policy regarding the biz, and I think this was all a part of the same questions
It was, and I'll go
that
ahead
we
and
brought up to this meeting.
take care of those at this point too. And at the meeting before last, and we asked it to be put on the evening meeting, question came up about a repair project on Hunter Wells Parkway. There's the bad dip in the road there, and there's a lot of road failure right there at the entrance of the subdivision. And there's gonna need to be some work on in the interior as well. But that dip is getting worse, and it concerns us, because even with a high sitting truck.
Well, where are you? Where's Hunter? You said Hunter Welch. Where are you located?
Hunter Welch is it's right off the Luthersville Road.
Okay.
The
I'm not even familiar with the road.
Chambliss Village.
Oakley, Shambliss Village. Okay. All right. I know where you're talking
It's
about.
called Hunter Welch Parkway. Right after you go in, there's a crossing of the road, and if you had a smaller car, it would scrape right there. Our concern has been that it's getting worse, that we're gonna have somebody come through there going at speed and they're gonna have a wreck. And so we needed to make that repair. Now, the question that came up and was asked by Mr. Hines was, why wasn't this bid, and what are our threshold limits before we require bids? We have a policy on bids. And of course, it's here, I'm not gonna read over it with you guys, but there it is. And it says, of course, emergency repairs are excluded from the bidding process, et cetera. But what I wanted to point out is that this was an emergency situation. It says here clearly in the law, you don't have to go when there's emergency repairs. And even though this particular project, and this is what I wanted to try to get across, even though this particular project wasn't bid, because it was the emergency nature, the unit prices that are used here were bid. They were part of our LeMig program, and that was, of course, the bid was approved, the board approved the change order. The Hunter Welch project was a change order totaling $28,000 and some change to a LeMig contract of about almost $1.2 million. And that project had been bid. And if we had bid it as a separate project, you could add to those contracts, okay? And at one time there was a 20% limit, but I don't think that's even in place anymore. But even with that, we're well below that threshold. And if you go out and bid this little project, number one, you probably aren't going to get any bids. Nobody's going to want to come out and do a $48,000 project with millions of dollars of equipment sitting there. But if you've already got a bid with the best amounts, unit prices you could get based upon a $1.2 million bid, you're a little bit foolish not to go out and just add that as a change order to that contract. It's already been bid, and it works that way. If you were to decide, yeah, let's bid every little project that comes along, one, you're gonna have a delay the process by at least 2 months. It takes at least that long, and maybe more. Writing your specifications, sending it out, opening bids, awarding the contract, getting everything done. And during that period of time, the road continues to deteriorate, and you expose yourself in terms of liability to a much greater extent than the $28,000 would be, even if you couldn't take advantage of the other units. Now, the unit prices were, again, based on almost $1.2 million contract price. And if you bid it as an individual contract, I can guarantee you that bid would be substantially higher. It would delay the cost. It would have increased substantially, and you would also have to pay for mobilization costs. One of the reasons of bringing it when we did was because they're starting work right now on Luthersville Road. So while they got the equipment there, we could do this little portion of it with the same unit prices, the same materials. If you look back at the change order, there's no mobilization cost, but if you pulled it out, you'd pay a mobilization cost probably of $1,500, $2,000 just in that alone. And because our contract, again, included Luthersville Road, there's no mobilization cost. I'm a little confused as to why this was a concern that was brought, because we followed this exact same procedure last year when we added Turkey Trail Court and we added Bobcat Trail to the existing LeMig projects. And those contracts total almost $200,000. I think we took a road off, and at the end of the day, it was a $68,000 increase. But this process is completely legal and is used every week across the state of Georgia. You had to bid every little project. We helped the city of Greenville with a project. You know what? They didn't have a single bidder to respond. We had to go back out and call some bidders and say, hey, would you come down and do this? Because of the size of the project, much bigger project like this. And like I say, we've done this last year, and we've done it through the years. It's completely legal. And If the board would like for us to not add to the contracts and not follow the law, which allow us to do that, and take the reduced prices, we could certainly do that, but you're gonna expect more time and more effort. This project was bid. I don't know where the idea came, but it hadn't been bid. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. But the unit prices, that's the reason we do it unit price. We don't just say, well, how much you do this project for? We say, how much is the concrete? How much is the building? How much is this? And then we have a fair bid on the next project. So this is just no more than the extension of Lucasville Road. So I wanted to explain that, and I wanted you guys to understand we are following law, and we are saving the county time and effort and money in doing it this way. And if you know, the desire is to do it and change the procedures, we can certainly do that. I wouldn't recommend it, but we can certainly do that if you need to. So,
Things you need to make any changes.
I don't know.
Appreciate the explanation, and
Sure.
it certainly makes sense, and we
Okay.
got to save what we can where we can.
yeah, it just makes sense while you're there. And, so anyway, thank y'all.
All right, we're gonna move under new business, and of course, we had moved the two proclamations to earlier in the meeting. So number 3, approve and allow the chairman to sign the 2022 ACCG Internship Program Grant Agreement.
Yes, Madam Chair. A few months ago, I came to the board regarding looking into the ACCG internship program. We were lucky enough to be granted with one of those positions, and it's for the probate court, Judge Rasnick. Legal has looked over this. There was a concern that was expressed to ACCG, and they have changed it to match what legal would like it to be. So staff recommends approval.
Okay. Can we have a motion to approve and allow the chair to sign the internship program grant agreement?
So moved.
We have a second? Second. All in favor? All right, it carries. All right, next on the agenda is request from the tax commissioner for temporary assistance.
All right, good evening. So first off, the request, this is not temporary assistance, this is emergency assistance. I think, especially with Mr. Gregory's announcement that you are considering TANF funds, is that how you say it?
The fan.
A TAN note, because I can't get any accounting done on my records. I think we're in an emergency situation here. So I just want to let you know that we can make very limited progress with the amount of people that we have in our office. We still have to do our jobs every day. We're still catching up. We are working on November 17th right now because we couldn't, because the backup that we have took us to November 15th. So that's what we have right now. We are going back into November to try to repopulate the data that we have because of the cyber attack on the county server.
Can I ask a question? Who did that backup? Where did that backup come from?
What are you talking about?
You said you had a backup until November 15th, it was backed up. Who does those backups?
Well, that's what I'm hearing from the county IT department. So that's where the information is stored, on the county's IT server, or the IT department server, which stores our information. And so we have had a very difficult time since that, getting information and getting IT support. So right now, the way the current situation is that I don't even know exactly how we're supposed to do this. So I don't know if we are supposed to contact Skip Richardson, your IT director, and ask him directly, or if we have to go through Liberty Technology, which is the IT company that you brought in. And let me just add that you didn't get a contract according to IT Technology because of the emergency situation, and yet you're able to bring in somebody and get funding to allocate funding so that you can take care of the issue. And that is what I am asking from this board, is that we can get some assistance, so I can get some verification that when I put out the request to ask for people to come in and enter the data that we need, so that I don't have the staff that is otherwise researching what has to be done, because I'll tell you, there's not a lot of experts out there into our VCS Manatron tax software. It's specific to the state of Georgia. So there's not experts out there like there are for QuickBooks or any other major software. But, so we're gonna have to bring somebody in and we're gonna have to train them. So that's gonna take time away from the people that are otherwise working to get the system back on track, just to go back and get this person trained to get data entered. And we have to have this data entered before we can figure out where the money is supposed to go. So
Well, I
just to
believe
give
in
you,
your email that you sent me, you were asking for about $6,000 to hire somebody temporarily, emergency, temporary, whichever you want to call it, to start working on these records, right? I mean, your email to me, and I asked you, would you give us something in writing? I only
Right.
got to the email, I didn't get anything else, but we got that into the packet where you
would
had
you,
sent me.
is there something else that you would have requested? Like you said, when I hear somebody says, I'd like it in writing, I think that means send an email.
Well-
But is there some other process? Because I'm not unaware if there is.
Well, in the email to me, you said that you needed the funding, and you said, do I need to present something, put something in writing? And my response back was, give us something in writing so we could have it to go over the meeting today. I just never saw anything. It's now there was another email that went back and forth that you were working on something to present to us. I think, I don't have the copy of the email, but Bill may have it, where you said, I'm spending time working on a request to bring before the board Tuesday night. So I don't know if you got anything else written down, or we'll go by the $6,000 that you had asked in the email.
So, I sent you the request because I was hoping you could act on it immediately. I don't know if there's another constitutional officer that has requested emergency funds to hire someone because they were in an emergency situation.
But
And
this was on Thursday. I said we were meeting Tuesday night, and then everything was closed yesterday. You didn't say I need it now. You just said,
I said I'm in
okay.
an emergency situation. I did put that in the email, I believe. So with that, I would just think that you'd understand that this is a pretty significant thing. And because I
Absolutely
am
it
here
is.
presenting that I'm gonna have to, hopefully, I can get some funding tonight, and then I can go out and ask for people and accept applications and go through the applications, and then hopefully get someone on board we will then spend days training so that they can then input data. So the rest of my staff is not going to be doing that.
Okay, I have a
I mean,
question.
we are already all of my staff is working overtime. And so,
Absolutely, and I agreed with you on that. I mean, I said, I could see where you need help, and all I did was ask, you offered to put something in writing, and I said, give us something in writing, we'll cover it Tuesday night. That was on Thursday. Offices were closed yesterday, and here we are tonight. I mean, I think that's pretty quick. So is there something else other than the 6,000 that you wrote in here? Let's see. The cost is for an additional worker for that time period and does not account for overtime that's needed to take care of the rest of the staff, which we understand that. If they have to work overtime, we certainly have to cover that. I really need to get moving on this soon. It will take a few days to get a person up and trained. And then my response was that I answered what you asked, I thought, and then asked, could we bring it up tonight? And there was no other, I had no other response back from you.
I mean, it's kind of, well, you know, what, I didn't know what else I needed to present to you.
Well, one, you said, do I need to put something in writing? And my answer was, thank you for the information. I can certainly understand the need for temporary help to rebuild your records. Can you submit something in writing so we can have it for our meeting Tuesday night? We haven't got anything else, but we'll go by your 6,000 that you've got written here. I mean, that's.
But I have a couple of
Go
questions
ahead.
on some things. You said 6,000, it's an emergency situation, and then you made the statement, if I can find somebody to train. So do you have someone in mind, or are you still looking for someone? Because if it's an emergency situation, $6,000 isn't gonna do you any good unless you have somebody in place. That's my question. Do you have somebody lined up?
Yes, I have several people, but I can't say I'm gonna pay you something without funds. I mean, I could take it out of my budget, but I'd rather not have to have all of these, or actually, I'm trying to figure out what I can take out of my budget, because again, we have another issue related to IT, and I'm not getting information from the county on this as far as what we have with our internet situation from Spectrum. And so they were at my office yesterday, or it was either
Friday, I think.
Yes, Friday. And so according to him, we're gonna have to have, the way it's set up, we would have internet through the county. We would not be able to separate it. We would not be able to put the information on our own server, which is what the request was from the county when we were gonna separate everything and decouple the IT from the county so that I wouldn't have to put in a request to Skip that would be ignored until some time, and then I would have somebody sneaking into our office
Okay, that's
that
enough.
would do,
That's enough.
that would
Okay.
come in the,
Ms. Jenkins, that's enough, okay?
Commissioner
We're going,
Hadley,
we're going over
listen,
your
we
temporary.
have had
this
a
is- we're
lot
going
of
over your
issues and-
temporary request here, okay?
okay,
That's what's
but
on
one of the
agenda.
issues is the IT is a huge part of this.
You're
If
absolutely
we
right, and I know
can't, you know what, we are
Ms.
having errors getting on the server right now. And I'm not even sure who I'm supposed to contact because Liberty doesn't know what our server does, but Skip won't respond when we send in a request.
Okay,
So what are we gonna do with
address
that?
the temporary funding here that's brought to
And this
us
is
on
part
the-
of the problem. Commissioner, we need a solution to the problems, and when I get a little piece of it, it doesn't help the overall picture.
Ms. Sarah, do you have anything else on the, or the spectrum? I knew you were talking with somebody about,
Skip sent an email to
They're
Spectrum.
supposed to be contacting Ms. Jenkins.
to set up a
Let us
time
know
and
that
date.
We can separate it, but currently it's not.
Okay.
And it can't be unless that system is changed.
Well, they
We are,
telling you, they're saying it can be separated. They've
Okay.
already
The
found that out.
fibers run, it can be just replace this switch with this switch.
it was more involved,
So,
according to the technician that I talked to.
well, all I can go by is what they're saying. They told them that it can be separated. They're supposed to call you because you're supposed to work with them, or you prefer to work with them than us, okay? So the $6,000 that we have on here in the request on here for the, it's called of the temporary assistance. This is to get somebody to do data entry so you can get started on rebuilding those files, right?
And right now, that's not gonna be enough.
Well, it gets us started, doesn't it? I mean, that was your.
Yes,
that was your request.
do you want me to come back every meeting to request more funds to
Well, why
do
don't you put
this?
something in writing and tell us what you need.
I put it in writing in an email, and if
No.
that's, I mean,
No,
if you would
no.
like to define, put it in writing, then please do. But
Okay.
the fact that this is an emergency situation and I really need the funds so we can get things moving is enough, is what I was hoping was enough. Because I believe there's another constitutional office that has gotten funding for a person to come in because of the situation that they had.
Nothing's come for us.
Okay,
They're just taking care of it, I guess, but that's another department. But all I'm saying is.
it's
you
another
said-
office, Commissioner, another office, not a department of the county commission. It is a separate
Okay,
office.
Okay. Really? Come on. All right, you asked for this money, the $6,000. Even in your email, you said, I'll be glad to put it in writing if necessary. I immediately responded back to you, can you submit something in writing? So all I have is the 6,000 to go from, that you put in your email. I have no requests, no additional funds.
What kind of writing would you like? So let's get this down, so I don't have to come back and say, okay, well, this wasn't enough this last time, so what is it? What would,
Ms. Jenkins,
what
could
would
put it
you
in
like?
an email. The thing is, you offered to put something in writing and then you didn't do it.
Every time somebody comes to your office, don't you want a work order or something to show you exactly what they're doing in your office? The same respect here would be very much appreciated.
I've never gotten any signed
that's what you
request,
asked.
so
that's-
every
but
time that I
no,
have
we're not
asked for
gonna do
something,
this.
I've
a question
been
for you
asked
based-
for a
Kat, do
written
not talk over me. I
request,
have a
but
question
again,
on something
no,
I said.
this is
Come on, we're
where we
done.
need to stop.
Bye.
You're not, this isn't your board,
Doesn't matter.
Vice
It's
Chairman.
our board.
So
It's damn sure not
Commissioner
yours.
Hadley,
Jenkins, just give me what the amount is. If there's something different, all you had to do was put it in writing, whether it's an email or whatever.
again, this is something where when you say put it in writing, I'm just asking for you to
It can be an
define
email.
what you mean.
It can be an email.
So-
That's fine.
Again, though, are you saying $6,000 for a person? Because that's what I had in that
That's what you asked
email.
for. So if it's something that needs to be any different, you need to tell us. I mean,
Okay.
we can't read your mind as to what it would be.
It looks like you've lost your quorum, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, we're going to stop.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. You just lost your 2 extra members.
If you
I
would
don't know
like
that
to
she's-
act on
I
this,
don't think she's
feel
left.
free.
We'll take a
I think she'll
5-minute
be right
break.
back, yeah.
I think she'll be back. Just give a 5-minute break. Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Hill. All right, so the thing at hand is the $6,000 that you put in the email to use for temporary assistance to start data entry. Correct?
That is what I initially requested.
Okay, all right. So we can act on that tonight. If there's something else you want to do or need to do or whatever, you just need to get it to us. I mean, all I did was ask that you put it in writing. I have no reason to think that it was any different than what you had already put in the email.
I could have been more clear in the email, that's certain. As far as I could have said, look, if we can't get this going right now, I'm gonna need to request funds, but I was hoping we could have that so that I could get going on
All you
getting
gotta do is
somebody.
talk with me. I emailed you back immediately and you never responded back to me.
Right,
No response. So I thought, well, either she doesn't want anything or we're just gonna go with the $6,000 because I didn't even get a response. But I asked a question, but it wasn't
I was
answered.
thinking, I mean, if I was gonna put in a request for 6,000 and then, I was gonna put in another request and, again, a definition as far as what do you want in the writing? I mean, what is it? Like,
You can do it in an email. That is perfectly okay.
Okay.
Your email led me to believe you were writing something up. You said, do I need to put it in writing? And then you sent an email to Mr. Bill that we were copied on that says, I'm in the process of writing up a request. I'm about to spend hours, I think it was the exact word, writing up a request to give to the board for Tuesday night. I mean, that was your
Yeah.
words. That wasn't ours,
yes.
but we didn't get it.
No, I didn't, because I didn't know what I was gonna need to put in there, and I didn't know,
But you could
I didn't
ask me.
know,
You could ask me if you had
I
a question
could.
or ask somebody else.
I could, or it could be something that, Kath, go get what you need, go get it done so that we can get this thing going. I was hoping for that, but what I've
My
gotten
response
is,
was, I see that you need help. You're gonna need temporary help. That was my exact response. I
Yes.
agree. You need it. Give us something in writing, just so we got something to go on.
okay,
All
well,
right,
I can make it, more defined in the future, but again, this whole process is so stilted. The fact that, we are here at a board meeting instead of just being able to talk, just being able to say, look, I need this, and instead we are here, and being able to communicate with this board has been difficult. But again, it's something where,
I'm done with this.
right, so
You know what,
the thing is, Commissioner Threadgill, is that I always say your title, and I would just ask that you would respect me in my office and do the same. I don't think it's that careful.
None.
Right, that's not unexpected. But the rest of the board could act like a professional organization.
And so
that's
when you
what,
come before us at our
again,
board,
I think we could go
Communication
back.
is a two-way street, and you and I have had emails since the beginning of January, okay? Both expressing that same desire to get some things done, right?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
I mean, we've had to communicate. We've had a cyber attack where all my data is gone. So I was hoping I would actually have more communication. But it's kind of, when I'm begging for information, it makes it very difficult
Okay.
to do my job, when I
Okay,
have all
we're
of
gonna
these other
address the
things.
request that's for us, okay?
Okay,
$6,000. All right, we have a request from
Hold
Tax
on.
Commissioner
I have a
Jenkins.
question
Okay,
before we do that.
okay.
On something you stated, you said 6 to 8 weeks, you hope you would have it, and that you would not be able to cut us a check for the amount of property tax payments to us until that point.
no, I don't believe I said that at all, Commissioner Threadgill.
No, you didn't.
I don't have the email in front of me, but I did not say I would not cut
said
you a
until-
check
no, you said
until
until
that.
that.
So I think you need to be very careful with how you quote me.
You know what?
But we've
You're
got,
not worth talking to. Worthless human being.
Again, you hear anything that you don't like, and then you just start turning it
Worthless human
on.
being.
But
all right, so we're gonna go on the motion for the $6,000. All right, we've had a request for $6,000 for temporary help for the Tax Commissioner's Office. Do we have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
We have a second? I'll second it. All in favor? Okay. All right, so we'll get
thank
that.
you for getting me that funding. As far as the IT, is there anything that we can discuss at this matter, or do I need to come back? Do I need to put something in writer
I mean,
to
just
discuss
tell us
it?
what you need, so we know what we got to do. I mean, we can't just pull it out of the air.
Okay.
Now, we don't meet again for 2 weeks now, that's, you
Right,
know. the
I
only
know, so
thing.
that's one of the
But it
issues,
is-
is that if we can discuss things without having to do it
But if you can put it
in
in
this
writing to Ms.
setting.
Enzeri, and then she can even poll the board.
Okay.
And then we can put it on there to confirm it, am I right or wrong?
Right.
Mr. Hill?
So we just,
Sure.
any other thing that I need, we need to wait a couple
Make
weeks.
sure we're right.
Because I think, let me just say this, Mr. Hill, that, this is bordering on obstruction to my office. I can't come here and know exactly what I'm gonna need when we are still in a developing situation. But the fact that you are requiring me to come back at your next meeting, and in the meantime, put something in writing, is gonna do nothing but
could have
cause
done that
delays
tonight. I
for
asked
our
you.
office.
I asked you to give us what you needed so we'd have something to go on. We can't just say, open it up and do whatever you got to do. We need some idea. We got no, I mean, you see what our bank account's doing, going just like this, because we haven't gotten any money from you since
Right.
December 30th.
Yes,
The
and
tax on January 9th, where's the money in between?
That's,
Okay?
you know
can-
what,
and I-
Commissioner
look, I wanna
Hadley,
check-
we
look,
have the
I'm sorry,
reports.
I'm talking right now, okay? I'm
Go
talking
ahead,
right now.
please.
We've already checked. You can give us money. You could have already given us money. You could give money to the school board. You're not following what your office is supposed to be doing, okay? But we're riding along. We've been trying to write, but I'll be dang if we're going for a tan to borrow money to run this county when we've got millions of dollars in a bank account.
I think it's ridiculous to go for a tan instead of trying to help my office.
Well, we're trying to help your office. Write us a check for part of it. You and I and Michelle had a meeting, 4 weeks ago? And your words were, I said, could you do a percentage? Your words were, yes, I could probably do that. That's been weeks ago now.
I said I
Nothing.
probably can.
Yeah, but
But
no
what we had,
communication, no,
what-
let me do it or help or whatever.
If you're asking why I said that, that was because the information I had at that time was that I thought we had more records and more reports and we did have
it's
it
a
for,
percentage.
we did have it for the school board, and that's why I was able to provide them with a check, which is still not very much, but it's enough because of all the things that we have had to deal with in the last 2 months have made it very difficult to determine what we're supposed to have in the bank account.
We know the county gets X percent of the funds and the school board gets a certain percentage. You don't have to use all of it.
It
But
is
you
a-
can use some of it to give us money.
Commissioner Hadley, I would say that it is a little more difficult than that, and we do have a couple more things that we do have to consider. And in light of the cyber attack, in light of the fact that we have a big fat zero when it comes to all the information going from November 17th onward up until the 10th of January, it makes it very difficult to determine how much of that percentage needs to go out and how much of that is getting refunded, because that's another issue that we've had, is we have an extensive number of refunds that we're gonna have to do because people are seeing that their property taxes do not look like they've been paid, so they're paying it again, and so that's leading to a lot of complications.
I understand. That's why we said an amount less than what you had. You had $8 million, disperse $6 million, or whatever number you come up with. But let me say, also in our meeting that day, you told me that there was a daily report that y'all did. And your words were, we stopped doing it because we didn't need it. But by law, you're supposed to have that paper record of every day's work. If you had had that, you'd have that to build the files on too.
And
Okay.
you know what? There's some things when I trusted the IT department, and the IT department verified that my data was secure and that our reports would be there when we needed them, then I should have done that. But for the last 6 months, I've been trying to extricate our office from the county's IT. And all I have been doing is getting hurdles from that.
But all I'm saying is, had that been printed, you would have had that report. And according to the law, it says you're supposed to print that copy and keep it.
Well, I disagree with that
That's
statement.
fine.
Okay,
But Ms.
I have
Plant
a
has a
I have a
question.
question,
Commissioner Plant, I'm sorry.
and this is from the Tax Commissioner Procedures, and it's 2.16. And I'm going to read it verbatim. Computer backup kept off-site. In case of fire or other natural disaster, it should be a daily or weekly routine to back up all computer files and store them somewhere other than the building where your office is located. An example of a good place to store records would be in a bank safe deposit box. My question is, have you followed?
Commissioner Plant, okay, so to answer the question that you're asking, there is, I don't believe that there's any tax commissioner's office that is taking a backup and putting it in a safe deposit box.
Okay.
That is a little outdated. And so the thing is that we did have backups, and I was told that I had backups, but trying to get information from the IT, from your IT department has been like pulling teeth. And because of that, we have been trying to get ourselves out of this situation. But instead of going back and trying to point fingers, what I would like to do is move forward so that we can get what we
I'm trying
need
to
done.
establish, Commissioner Jenkins, the fact if there's any backup files. I'm not trying to
Commissioner
place
Plant,
bank.
We have gone over
Does your
whether there is a
office-
backup
does your
ad
office
nauseum
back up?
for the last 2 months. There is not, that is acceptable. And we could ask your IT director about why. But I
Okay.
think right now,
As a
it's unnecessary to
constitutional
go into
officer-
why that is the
As a
case. But
constitutional officer, are you required to provide backup files? Is this obsolete?
yes,
what
that
I'm
is
asking.
obsolete. That's what I'm saying, Commissioner Plant. So I would say that instead of taking a little
So-
insert out of a handbook that's out of date, that we talk about what we need to do in the future, but I don't think that's this meeting. So I'm sure that it
That's
would
fine.
be
So we're
great to
gonna
go
over
through
the
that.
budget request. That's this meeting. We know that's this meeting.
Yes,
And we've
You're
already
saying that
voted
we
on
need to do
that.
what's on the agenda, so we'll do what's on the agenda. Then, like I said, you can get your information to Ms. Irizarry. She can do a straw poll. We can figure out, and she can get with Mr. Bill, figure out whatever else we got to do. But you had the opportunity to bring it all tonight, you know, I mean, it was sitting there. I mean, I don't know that it could get any plainer than what it said in the email. And
again,
all
I mean,
was-
defining
and
what you
all
want in
was
writing,
doing
I
was
don't think is
answering your
difficult.
question. Put it in the email. I mean, it really doesn't matter.
When you say put it in the email, though, that's what I'm saying is the question. What is it?
Chair-
What is it that?
Chairperson Neely Hadley. To answer your question earlier, and Commissioner Jenkins as well, this board can only act in open session. It has to act in open session with a quorum, and so they can't be doing things behind the scenes. And so just like anybody else, I think what they're asking is that if you have a proposal, like any other petitioner that comes, it needs to be a detailed proposal presented and not just a blank check request. And so I think that's what they're asking. The chairperson was correct earlier when she said that they can't act outside of this forum, okay? So I think that would solve the issues. I think that's what the chairperson is trying to get at, is that it needs to be a proposal, not just a blank check request every time. And so that's what she was asking you to clarify. She got no subsequent information. And so she's acting only on the proposal or the request that is before her today, which was the 6,000.
Okay.
I think, does that clarify?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We have already had the motion in the second, and it was approved, right? All three?
Correct.
Okay, so requesting the tax commissioner for the temporary assistance, what you had in the email, it has been approved.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we have a report from a county administrator, Ms. Irizarry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Georgia School Board Appreciation Honor, Meriwether County Schools invites the board to attend their board appreciation reception. It will be March 7th at 5:30. I'm going to pass that invite around so you have the information. That was received today from the school board. Piedmont Paving is performing RDR process on Luthersville Road and Oak Street. They should start asphalt paving on Wednesday, and this is the final road on the 2021 LMIG project. 4-H summer camp registration is underway. There's already 30 4-Hers on the list, and there is still room for more. Vidalia onion sales are going very well, and tomato plants, $1 per plant, will be ready the week of Good Friday. They are also preparing for district project achievement public speaking next month at Rock Eagle and Douglas County. In the month of January, there were 610 emergency calls with Meriwether County Fire Rescue, averaging 20 emergency calls per day, and 52 emergency vehicles responding daily to emergency calls. They've applied for the Time Task Force grant, the Fireworks Tax Grant, and have received the Georgia Fire Commission grant. And that's all I have.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gay, you have anything on our projects?
Building that's on the side, that's about all. That's all I have to say about it.
Okay. All right, we have a report from the county commissioners. Commissioner Plant.
I'd like to extend the invitation for the city of Greenville for, there will be a grand opening at 12 o'clock Saturday, February the 26th, and it will be the ribbon cutting for the Greenville Memorial Park, and I believe all the past mayors will be recognized, or will have a paver in place or whatever. But that will be followed by the Brown Sugar Festival, which will be on the South Square, so hopefully everyone can come out. But that's it.
Commissioner McCoy.
I think I have, as I heard about Luthersville Road there, I think it's great they're up and starting, but the most disappointing thing is seeing that line marker across that road and know it's not going any further. That big bright line they've got across there.
Folks are excited about it, though.
Yeah, they are. I just wish we could do more to extend that, and I know it's probably almost impossible at this point. Of course, I've had the usual call of roads after the rains and what have you. It seems like we get ahead on some, we get behind on others. I don't know where the good balance is, but we try to strive for that. And I mentioned earlier to the commissioners, I actually got to talk to a field engineer this morning who was surveying out in front of my house for broadband, looking at putting the fiber optic cables on the poles there. So I know that work is going forward with Southern Rivers. So I guess that's about all I had.
Okay.
And I apologize. I meant to mention that Commissioner Hines had asked about the broadband for diverse. And the news article that came out after our meeting that weekend from LaGrange indicates that Meriwether will have 1,601 added customers for broadband. So as part of that grant. So I thought that was worth noting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, I have just one thing I want to, and it may take just a few minutes, but I want to go back to February of 2021. That was the first Zoom meeting, or first meeting regarding redistricting. Meriwether County, members of this board and staff participated in that meeting. In June, ACCG hosted a meeting workshop about what to do about redistricting, how to do it. And again, members of this board and staff attended. On October the 26th, 2021, we voted unanimously to ask Representative Debbie Buckner to serve as the Meriwether County Legislative Sponsor to work with the Reapportionment Office regarding the redistricting for our county. She did work with the Reapportionment Office, and on December the 14th, the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners held a work session to discuss the plan. The meeting was attended by Representative Debbie Buckner, Representative Senator Randy Robertson, and Representative David Jenkins arrived a little later, where there was discussion about the maps. And in our meeting that followed the work session, the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners voted 4-1 to go with the map that was of minimal change. And I just want to say that it has been before the House and the Senate. And I just want to commend Representative Debbie Buckner and Senator Randy Robertson, for working together. They came together. They're on opposite sides of the aisle, but they came together knowing that this was what the local board had asked for, and I might say the Board of Education as well. They went to bat for us. We did have to go through additional committee meetings in order to get our map approved, but it has been approved, and if it hasn't been signed by the governor, has it been signed? It's on his desk, but it is approved. And again, I just want to express my appreciation to them for working together, putting any differences aside they may have politically, but supporting what the local board had voted on for our redistricting. And that's all I have. Next, our county attorney.
I just want to add one thing to Theron's comments on the bidding procedure. If the road had been a separate project, I understand that it was under 100,000 in cost anyway. And I just wanted that to be clarified that that would not have required a bid under the Georgia procurement law. Okay. So that would have been something that could have been parceled out on its own, is my understanding from reading that law. Other than that, I don't have any report. Madam Administrator, do we have a need for executive session tonight?
I believe we do for
Litigation, personnel, real estate, and tax matters.
all matters.
All right.
Okay, anything else? All right, we are going to go into executive session, but let me first note our future meetings and notices. March 9th, 2022, regular meeting at 9 a.m. March 22nd, 2022, regular meeting at 6 p.m. Can I have a motion to go into executive session for litigation, personnel, real estate, and tax matters?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we're in executive session at 7:37. Can we have a motion to go back into regular session at 8:12? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? There was no action taken in executive session. Is there any other business to come before the board? Hearing none, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? We're adjourned, 8:12. Thank you.